Welcome to the Unwritten podcast with your host, Thomas Malpass, where we are on a mission to help the world find more purpose, passion, and peace in their everyday lives. Through deep conversations and connection, tune in because we are all on this journey of life together. Welcome to podcast number 2 with Sarah Malpass, my sister.
Wait, who was number 1?
Myself. It was an intro. Okay. So, can you take us back to your upbringing and maybe share some of your experiences, and from how you were raised, from your family environment, and how it shaped your journey in discovering your own definition of what purpose, passion, and peace is to you.
Okay, so not sure how much you went into your background, because obviously we grew up in the same household. So pretty much, because us 4 kids, me and Thomas are the youngest. So I would say we kind of had it easier growing up out of all of us 4 kids. Single mom. Our dad was a military guy. He was present for most of my childhood, probably until I was like 8 or 9. And I was his favorite. My sister was his favorite. The boys always got in trouble, especially my older brother. But essentially, one day they got divorced, and I stopped seeing him. He stopped coming around. And that kind of affected me in a really, really big way. That feeling of abandonment, or like, hey, your dad's there one day and the next day he's not. So you start to question. It's like, oh, does he love me? What's wrong with me? What have I done? As a kid, you don't understand, that the level of like everything that goes behind, the family dynamic. Like, you don't know what went behind closed doors with my mom and my dad. So you just your mind starts to create, like its own scenario. So I started blaming myself, or I started like feeling like, oh, what's wrong with me? So my mom, being a single mom, she became super stressed out. She didn't have time to focus on all 4 of us kids emotionally. She was focused on, hey, let me put a roof over their heads. Let me make sure they're dressed well. Let me make sure they're eating. So that lack of, emotional support from my mom, it really affected me. It affected my self-esteem growing up. I just had really, really, really bad, self-esteem and confidence issues. All throughout high school, I was like the loner kid. Didn't really have friends. So I just put my face in a book, read. That was my outlet. Read, research, study. I did really good grades-wise. And then eventually reality hit, where it's like, I'm an adult now. I have to, navigate life on my own. I can't rely on my mom, my family, to take care of me. So I had to put myself out in the working world. So I had to force myself to kind of be social, because all of those confident issues and anxiety, it led me to kind of withdraw, and I didn't want to interact with anybody. I didn't want to, be a part of society. I just wanted to stay home and play video games all day. And all throughout that, it's like, hey, now I can't do that. I have to, wake up and do my 9 to 5. And, it was just, I really had to force myself. And I didn't like it. And I spiraled. I was just depressed. I was like, hey, I forced myself to get a job, and I just felt so uncomfortable the entire time. So it was just like, I was tired of being uncomfortable. So I had to start telling myself, hey, like, you are a good person. You are, worthy of having friends. And, your circumstance growing up, it wasn't my fault. My parents do love me. They just had their own circumstance. My mom, she fights with, I can't imagine. She grew up in a household of 14 kids in the Philippines. Dirt poor. She was one of the oldest, so she was taking care of her siblings. And I really don't think she received that nature, nourishment, whatever you want to call it, as a kid. She didn't have nurturing parents. She had kids, kids of her own, and she didn't know how to translate like her upbringing into like raising her own kids. So as an adult, I don't blame my mom. I don't blame myself. It's just like life happens. You kind of have to just navigate it as it happens. It doesn't help to create a blame game, I guess you could say. It's like, it's nobody's fault. No, like, my mom didn't intentionally, say, hey, let me, not pay attention to my kids. It's like her priorities were off whack. She was navigating her own mental health. So eventually, it just took a lot of self-reflection, self-awareness. I just kind of had to hit an emotional rock bottom before I started realizing, I shouldn't have to live like with anxiety, with depression, and all that. But I do, and it's a matter of your, like, how you perceive yourself to like be able to handle it. So, it's not going to go away. Mental health is just something that's always going to be there. But you can't let it define you. It's like you just have to.
What has been something that has helped you navigate that?
I would say there was this big life-changing thing. I basically was hospitalized. I would say, I forgot what year it was. It was like 2016 or something. And I was on my deathbed. I was in the hospital for like 3 months. I had to get I had a emergency surgery. Couldn't breathe, couldn't talk, couldn't eat, any of that stuff. So it really made me appreciate life, and it made me, see that I do have people that care about me. My life's worth living. So I have to, live it to the fullest. So after that, I focused on getting myself better, because it left me in just like a lot of different, situations where it's like, hey, like I have to restart life again almost. I have to rebuild, my relationships. I have to, financially like pull myself together because medical bills were stacking up. But that led me to wanting the change to happen. Because I just didn't want to go through that ever again. So literally, I kind of take that like moment of like getting out of the hospital as like a turning point for my life to like turn around. And I ended up within like 2 weeks after that, I went from, not having any friends, not, just going home by myself, sitting in a dark room all day, to like, I put myself out there. And I ended up meeting my husband. And he has just been like the biggest, brightest change in my life.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's like
I didn't know that
I
was right
pretty
after
much,
that.
yeah, it was like, I don't know, 2 weeks or so. And I was so, I was even more self-conscious about myself because I had all these like scars. I mean, you can't really see them, but these are pretty much like just, it symbolizes like, hey, I'm a survivor. If I can survive that, I can survive something as simple as starting a conversation. Um,
Can
so
you explain, like, do you remember, like, how you really felt when you were, like, in that, like, when you were on
in
your
the hospital,
deathbed, quote
um,
unquote?
yeah. So that's the crazy thing is that I did not understand the severity of it the entire time. Mom was there with me. She's a rock.
Or
She
can you
was
actually
every single
explain,
day.
like, how it
What,
even,
like
like,
the whole?
happened? Yeah, like,
Okay.
so you're just on your deathbed, but how
Okay.
how did it happen?
So, I mean, it is kind of a long story because, I have a lot of health problems. Just as like being overweight, diabetics is like a thing in our family, and just my depression and all of that. It just spiraled, and so all like once you have like one health ailment or especially mental health, it makes all the other
Kind of
stuff,
compounds, yeah.
like, yeah, it makes it all worse. So this is like the story I'm just gonna like stick with because I don't have like an exact answer because it just happened. Um, it all started from like, call it a dental abscess. So like I had a cracked tooth back here. It was my wisdom
Mm-hmm.
tooth. It was due to get pulled anyway. So it was like giving me pain, and they were like, "Well, we can't schedule you until like a month later. We'll remove your wisdom teeth." It's like, okay, whatever. They just gave me like an antibiotic just to help with it. And then I was like, I ate something weird. I ate like seafood or something. Um, and I guess the bacteria from like certain foods, it went down and into that crack, and
Hmm.
it started like swelling. So it was like filling up with like whatever, like an abscess, like a big like bump or something. So I was like, okay. I went to the walk-in. They were like, hey, try this antibiotic. It should clear the infection. It was maybe like quarter sized at that point. I just felt like a little lump, whatever. And then a day or two later, I wake up and like my whole face is like swollen. Like this whole thing. I already have a double chin, well, whatever.
You
But it
should have
was
took
like,
a
I look
picture.
like I probably somewhere out there. I look like a bullfrog. You know those like toads or whatever
You
that
didn't take
like,
a picture?
man, it's
I would have
somewhere.
took a
This was
picture,
this was like
but
10 years ago.
like before and
Literally
after.
almost 10 years ago. Not to, well, like 8 years, but anyway. So
That is crazy how
I
long it's been.
I woke up like one day. It was like it was there, and I was actually at Stacy's house, our sister, and her husband was like a CNA or nurse at the time, and he looked at me. He's like, "Go to the ER." He's like, "No joke." It's just like, "Go to the ER." So I went, and they were like, "Hey, like, you have to get this drained. It's like surgically, like it has to be like basically they like cut me open and drained it out." But since I'm diabetic, that infection kept coming back because it was like it feeds off of like the infection feeds off of like your high blood sugar or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Oh,
so
yeah.
basically they had to keep going in and like cutting my neck open, draining it out. Then it would be stitched up. But then if they missed even like a little microscopic bit of this infection, it would start spreading again.
Mm-hmm.
And it was to the point where it was growing over my throat. Um, so I was eventually just gonna suffocate. Like I wasn't like I would stop breathing, or the air would have nowhere to like come from. So then they put down here, like those commercials or those like anti-smoking commercials, where it's like it has like the person that sounds like a fucking robot because they can't talk. I had that shit like
Yeah.
for like 2 months,
Oh, you
and
actually
I had
used it?
It's not it's not even, you don't use it. It's literally installed in they call it a tracheostomy. So it's a little tube where your air comes out of that tube instead of going all the way up and out your mouth and nose. And I couldn't talk unless you would have to talk in like gasps, I guess. So you cover up the hole, take a deep breath, and you can probably get out like 2 words, and that would be it. And it would sound like super like grainy, like I don't know. So, and I couldn't eat. I had a tube in my nose that was giving me like liquid nutrition. And basically,
did you lose weight?
Yeah, but guess what it was? Because this was when I had started that motivation of going to the gym with you. Remember? Like
I remember. You had nice legs.
What the heck? I had like muscles. I was strong. I was building my confidence up, and then this shit happened. So I lost muscle mass. I had to go to physical therapy because I was bedridden. I was in a bed for 3 months. So
did you lose more muscle or fat?
I lost completely just muscle. Like
you didn't lose any fat?
Yeah, because I was still getting calories and feeding me, but I lost my muscle tone and like the density of it.
That must be something, because like,
I had to relearn to walk, like literally.
Yeah, because I'm not sure the exact science of it, but I know...
It's like that use it or lose it, like it starts deteriorating.
Well, I know your body starts taking it, like it's what happens when people like start to fast. Your body will start taking energy from other sources, but I thought muscle was last. Yeah, muscle is usually last because you need muscle to walk, to do stuff. So it would always pull it last, not first.
Basically, it kind of like, I just feel like everything like happens for a reason, because the only reason why I was able to recover so quickly was because I basically, they did like physical therapy where they're like, okay, they wanted to gauge my mobility. So if I can walk, if I can flex, if I can squat, whatever, go upstairs. And it was really difficult, but I pushed myself. And they said the only reason why I was able to recover so fast in that aspect was because I had been working out. And I had a lot of muscle going into it. So imagine if I went into it without any muscle.
Oh, really?
And went through that. Yeah, so they basically were like, hey, like, you're going to be okay, just kind of like take it slow. So I'm just like, okay, well, that's just weird, because before that I wasn't exercising. Like, I was just depressed and like no motivation or whatever. So it's like, after that, I was just like, you know what, I'm not going to allow anything like this to happen to me ever again. But no, so during my time in the hospital, they just kept, saying, okay, well, we're gonna, do your surgery again. At one point I had like a ventilator. Like, I woke up from my surgery and maybe there was a complication because it was anesthesia every time. So it's like, that's super risky. And I woke up, and this is when like reality set in. I had like a cage on my head and this like thing, and I had a freaking like catheter. So I woke up and I was like, I gotta pee. And I'm calling like my nurse. I'm like, hey, I gotta go bathroom. And they're like, just go pee. I said, what are you talking about? And they had installed like the fucking thing where
the tube where it connects to your like urethra.
Because basically they didn't want me to get up. Like, I was just so out of it. I was trying to like grab this like thing off my mouth because it forces your mouth to like stay open. And it like basically shoves like a tube down your throat to like oxygen was like going straight through like your body. And I was like, get this thing off of me. Like, I couldn't even talk though. So I was just like freaking out. And then they were like, well, we can't do anything for you anymore because we just keep doing the same surgery. It keeps, coming back. Because this was in Delaware. So they had to send me to like a prestigious hospital in Pennsylvania, University of Pennsylvania. And they sent me to like one of the top like specialists for ENT, which is ear, nose, and throat doctor. Mm-hmm. So they sent me there, and then he did like I don't know what he did, but he did some kind of like really thorough like surgery, and I started recovering eventually, and they figured out because I guess with infection they have to take a biopsy or a sample to know what is the infection is made out of, or like what is the
Yeah.
like cellular.
Like a diagnosis
So
of it.
so they kept taking samples of whatever like the buildup or whatever, and they finally found the perfect like antibiotic that would be most effective
Uh,
to kill that infection.
they found like a
Because
counter
the
one.
the general antibiotic is like penicillin or something or whatever.
Yeah, and your
But they
body
had to
can
do like lab testing.
your body, the more of it you take, your body can become immune
Like
to
fight
it.
against it. Yeah.
It can become
So
immune to it.
basically,
Yeah.
so they had to keep changing the like antibiotic, like figuring out what's the perfect balance of like what will finally kill every ounce of this infection in my body. No, so then I was like recovering. I'm like, okay, awesome. I get to go home. I didn't think anything of it. I just thought that was just a terrible experience to be in my mid 20s, hospitalized for 3 months. I hadn't seen like the day of light. I didn't go outside for 3 months. My freaking, like everything, like it felt like I was like coming out of like a time capsule or something. I had like my car sitting in the garage, like dust on it. All my shit was like exactly how I left it because I didn't have time to prepare. It was just like I went to the ER the moment I woke up. So then I'm just recovering. I still have like the tube because they wanted to just make sure everything's fine. I was like walking around with like an oxygen tank behind me, like everywhere I went. Um,
That's crazy.
so I had to like relearn to everything. They actually, I have this issue where, and when you get surgery, you have to sign waivers and shit. But essentially, I have no feeling in my whole jaw here, like
Still?
at all. Still,
You still?
um,
Like you could pinch
I
it?
had, yeah. So and
You could pinch
it
it like
feels like,
super hard?
you know what's funny though? When I eat, sometimes food
You
gets
could
stuck
tickle
back
it?
here. Yeah,
Oh,
food gets
really?
stuck, and I won't even know. Like I'll have to like, it's just weird. Um,
Oh,
but
man.
no, so I have permanent nerve damage on my jaw
Mm,
from how many like surgeries they did. Um,
yeah.
but anyway, so they did like a follow up. I had to, go back up to Pennsylvania. They pulled the tube out, and the doctor, he comes and sees me, and he's like, oh my gosh, you look so great. I can't imagine, you would have died, and now look at you, you're living, and I was
He
like,
said
I could
that?
have died. He literally told me that. He was like, and then it was like a mistake because they told
Because
mom,
nobody knew.
that I only had a 5% chance of living from this
What?
disease. This disease is called Ludwigs Angina. So it's
Oh,
basically
wow.
it's a rare like infection,
Infection, yeah.
and it basically you suffocate.
It
The
attacks
infection, yeah,
your
it's like
throat.
your thyroid area and your throat area. So essentially, that I was just like I did not know the severity of it. You didn't even want to believe it. You were in the Navy.
Yeah, I wanted to
Yeah.
note on that, on if whoever's listening, wherever I was, because we are siblings. During this whole time, I was in the Navy, and uh, we were actually like, I wouldn't say busy, but we were like constantly going out to sea, back and forth. So it was hard to keep communication, especially when you're out to sea. But um, I was in denial the whole time, and I didn't uh, believe it. Like I didn't believe the severity either. Um, so that's where I was. I was in San Diego, all the way on the West Coast, while she was on her deathbed, and that's just another life lesson that we could learn. Like you never know how much time you have with somebody, and if there's a situation like that in your life, um,
You gotta like
maybe you
prioritize.
should
You be
take the
like,
time to,
yes,
yes, prioritize and go
to like drop
see
if the person
that
means
person.
enough to you, yeah, because like you could have like never heard from me again. And
No,
but
I remember the second I was about to like put in my
like request for leave or something.
like emergency leave, because they gave you like a week of, I think they give you like a week of free emergency leave or something. Um, like
It was
drop the
like
bat, like they'll like fly you off the ship, like they'll
I think
really
I mean,
no, they do that for some people, like like on deployment or something. If your mom or somebody died or somebody's going through something, they'll fly you off the ship to so you can take leave. But yeah, I was like
so
that moment uh when I heard you were recovering was the same like moment where I was like about to put in leave to go see you. But yeah, you can finish.
no. So anyway, so basically, everybody else around me, they knew that I
They
didn't
knew
really
it
have.
was a low percent.
They knew it was a 5% chance. They told
5%.
mom. They told mom. They were like, "Yeah, we can't continue doing this." They're like, eventually, it's just, my body basically was already weakened from like just going through. Anybody that goes through, in a hospital, your immune system is already weak. Your body's fighting whatever. So it's just like if you keep compounding like surgeries on top of that, it was just like I didn't understand how severe it was. I was just like, yo, like I'll be out of the hospital in a week. I'll be fine. Um,
Yeah.
but now, so
I think that
that
has
put
something to do with it though. Because
what
that's what I was gonna ask you. Like how like where was your mind during this? Even though it was like a little bit of
oh,
like
I was
naivety or whatever.
I just was out of it. They had me on every
You weren't scared. You didn't like where were your
um
emotions?
I was basically just living in the moment of like, this sucks. Like I feel like I'm dying. But it's kind of even hard to remember a lot of it because
So much
I
drugs and
was on
stuff.
so much pain medication. They gave me this button, um, and mind you, they put me on the highest because they have this like chart when you go to the hospital. It's like, what is your pain level 1 through 10? And I would always try to downplay it because I was like, I still want to know what's going on, whatever. And mom being there too, she's worse in the pharmacy. So she's like, "You're gonna get addicted. You're gonna get addicted." And I'm like,
She's
luckily, that's a whole
manifesting that.
no, that's a whole other story. I was on the strongest. It's called Dilaudid. So this is like higher than
Dilaudid?
morphine. Yeah, it's higher than
Dilaudid?
morphine. I don't know, D. I don't know how to spell it. Look it up. But
Dilaudid?
anyway, DID some Dilaudid.
Dilaudid?
Just put pain medication. Anyway, so I was on an IV hookup of pain meds, and they had this button that I pressed, and every time I felt pain, it would shoot me up with it. Well, they had like a limit. They were like, "Oh, you can't press it." Basically, if you pressed it more than like 4 times in an hour, it would stop giving it to you. So I still felt pain even
After 4
after.
times?
Yeah, even after I've already had the med. That's how bad the pain was. Like my whole body was just like I felt like out of
Mainly in
body,
your
like
neck or your whole
um
body pain?
whole body, whole body because
Like just
it's
achy?
like yeah, and um not being able like being because I was hooked up to so many like
Different like
IVs and
things, yeah.
monitors and so I couldn't just get up and go walk around. And my muscle like my muscle density loss like made it hard to walk. I was literally like might as well put me in a walker.
Mm-hmm.
Um so I was in and out of consciousness. Like I would be up and then 10 minutes later I'd open my eyes and I'd be in a completely different room and it's like the next day. Like it was
Damn,
just
that's crazy.
so all of that leads to I have a phobia or I have PTSD to be in hospitals. And that basically
Even though you were like half awake during it all?
yeah, it's just it was traumatizing.
Yeah.
So then I had, I got out of the hospital. I had this new outlook on life. Like, hey, you survived. You're meant to be here. You do have support. There was just like so many emotions with it. And it was just weird because I felt kind of like slighted, I guess, because
You said slighted?
Dad ended up hearing about it, right? And you know him, like he
Oh,
basically
he
was
was
only
still
talking.
alive.
Yeah, this was the year before he died. So he only talked to Stacy. Like you barely knew the man. It was freaking awkward as hell when he went out to California with me when we visited you.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he heard about it, and he did not come rushing over to like visit me or be supportive. Like Mom was there every single night. She was driving up to Pennsylvania from Delaware, like to be there with me. She took emergency medical leave off work. But anyway, so Dad ended up seeing me, and the only reason why he came up to see me was because he was living in North Carolina at the time, I think, with his brother, the one that we should do an episode on that, the conspiracy theory of Dad's death. That shit's crazy. That's some unsolved mystery shit. Anyways.
Alright. We'll save that for another one.
We'll save it for when Michael jumps on.
The three-way.
So, basically, he got invited, because he used to live in New Jersey, and then he retired and moved to, like, his hometown in North Carolina. He got invited to one of his good coworkers' weddings. It just so happened he was road tripping up and stopped by to see me only because he had that wedding to go to. And I was just like, it was just so weird. Did
he say anything?
I don't know. I don't remember. I just remember he showed up he stopped by for 20 minutes on his way. And I'm like, damn, I'm dying. I'm pretty sure somebody told him I only had 5% chance to live. But no, so I just felt like that was such a moment to realize it's you can't, just because your blood or whatever, you can't force somebody to want to be in your life or to love you or to whatever. So that was my aha moment about life and choices, and basically you can control you. That's it. You can control how you react. You can control your actions. You can control your emotions. Basically, I could have chose to, oh, I hate my dad. And tell myself he doesn't love me or blah. Or I can just say, you know what? That doesn't matter. I can just let it roll off of me and keep moving on. And that's what I did. It's I'm not going to sit there and fight you to love me. You know what I mean? Or fight for your attention and your affection. It's if you don't want to, nothing will change you. Nothing will change that fact. You have to want it yourself.
You could only... You
can have
you can only control...
But then that feels manipulative. Why do I want a relationship where it feels like I had to manipulate you to feel this way about me?
Yeah, or one-sided.
So then it feels well, damn, do you really want to, be in my life? If you have to beg somebody, it's not worth your time. I don't care who it is, family or
yeah, but
whatever.
then you shouldn't also beat yourself up for that.
Yeah,
you shouldn't ever be they aren't here. That means
that's how
automatically assume something just because of something.
That's how I used to process it, right? As a kid, remember I was telling you from the beginning?
Yeah.
When you don't have guidance as a child, you only, basically, your thoughts just
the
run.
TV raises you, video games raise you,
so
school raises you. Yeah, everyone raises you besides your own
so basically
influences.
I don't know, my self-esteem shit, it came from way before that either. It was so I've always been the overweight one or the odd looking one out of our family. It's true. I mean, I was a cute kid. I won't deny that. I was tricky cute. Um, but no, so I remember it was traumatizing. Another thing that was just like it shaped my perception of myself. You know those
Mm.
Filipino parties? The crazy Filipino parties? All these
Yeah.
like loud ass ladies. So,
Yeah.
me being like, mom didn't, that was something mom lacked.
Yeah.
She did not hype us up. I hype my kids up so much. You're beautiful. You can do it. You're awesome. Good job. Mom did not ever
Wait,
do
that
that.
is one thing I do want
She never
to
praised us.
pause on for a second. Yeah,
Yeah.
when we were growing up, the Filipino parties, because we're half Filipino, half Caucasian, whatever you want to call it. And we used to always go to Filipino parties in our neighborhood where they'd have loads of Filipino feasts and pancit and chicken and all kinds
Those
of
lumpias and stuff.
weird. Oh yeah, lumpias were like the number one hit with everybody. Um, and at the parties, our mom would kind of force us to go to. Um, I mean, in a way, it was a way to like get us out of our comfort zone because I think most of us are pretty introverted, like all of us siblings. So it was a way for us to like get out and socialize. But there were times where it would just feel weird,
So
like
uncomfortable.
we're being um,
Kind of
like
like
spoken
paraded
about
around.
and
Yeah.
poked and like pointed
So
at, like, hey, like look at
so that's where
them, and
I'm
like
leading to
we
was
wouldn't
that
know what they're saying
yeah,
because
I would walk into a room and then I would hear la 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 la, and then they would point at me. They would physically point at
mm,
me and then burst into laughter. As a child, how am I supposed to perceive that? That they're laughing at me, they're making fun of me.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Then my self-esteem, it was like, damn, what's wrong with me? What's so funny about me? Who, like, why are they like it just started spiraling,
Yeah,
and
this is
that
just
is
pure like body language. Like you
yeah.
don't even know what they're
So
saying.
as a child, you just assume you're just going with like how you feel in the moment. And because then I talked to mom about this like more in my adult life, and she's like, no, we were telling you how beautiful we were talking about, like I was like, but you're laughing at me, what am I supposed to think? And she's like, no, you misunderstood, we weren't making fun of you. And I'm like, well, you didn't tell me that. And
Then what
you
was so
never,
funny then?
yeah, and I said,
Then what
you
was so
never
funny?
reinforced, she never reinforced praise. Children need praise.
Did she
Like,
ever tell you what she was laughing at?
no. You know
So
children
then,
have excuses.
so then, how do you know?
Yeah, so basically, my mind just ran with whatever idea I had at the moment. And that
Mm-hmm.
stuck. A lot of your habits that you, grow into as a child, those are the hardest habits to break. So, as a kid, if I was telling myself, asking myself, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? What did I do? Why doesn't my mom love me? Why doesn't my dad love me? Those racing thoughts stay with me to this day. But in more recent years, since all like my hospital stuff, since like I have my husband and my kids, basically those are motivating factors that tell me it's like nothing's wrong with me. I'm perfectly fine. And if someone thinks that something's wrong with me, guess what? I don't care. Like, let's say I know, whatever. If I look funny, I look funny. If I'm overweight, I'm overweight. Someone sees you in passing, you're just walking by somebody in a crowded street. They have a thought of you. It's like, dude, that chick's ugly. Guess what? I will never see that person again in my life, probably. So why does what they have to think about me, why does it matter? It has no
Yeah.
effect on you. So I used to beat myself up and work. I still do, but I have
Well,
to
it's only
process it.
natural. That's
Yeah, like the
actually
fear of
natural for
judgment and
everybody
all of that.
because,
But it's your
like
choice
even me, like
to say how
growing up.
much it affects you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You get to
You can
choose
choose to dwell on
how
it, or
you
you can choose to accept it and, say, hey, I don't care. I don't have to see this person ever again. Why does their opinion of me matter? So
Yeah.
I have to stop my automatic thoughts. Like, most of the time, my brain is wired where it pulls the negativity and the judgment and the fear. And I have to basically, because there's no cure for, like, mental health. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
It's
anxiety.
daily.
Or,
It's a daily practice, man.
because I got diagnosed with antisocial personality or something disorder.
Oh, really?
Something. Yeah, basically, my mind takes it to the extreme. I always think somebody's judging me. I always think someone's out to get me. I always, like, so basically that's why I'm afraid. I'm physically afraid to be social. And I get so, and you guys didn't understand that growing up. I didn't even.
Oh, yeah. I do want to go back to that. Wait, like, so you just said you were diagnosed with this social...
It's like antisocial personality disorder.
Where do you think that, like, was triggered growing up?
I would say the lack of, it's basically, like, my self-esteem, right? That's the base of it. Of, like, mom did not praise us, dad wasn't around. I had to we all fended for ourselves, you know that, like, growing up. Lola was there. Lola was, like, kind of like the thing that held us all together. Lola's our grandma in the Philippines.
She was TJ's boy.
Yeah, that boy slept with her till you were, like, 10 years old.
I don't know how y'all's relationship was with her, but
No.
I felt like she babied me.
Yeah, and me and you used to get in fights, and because I was bigger, no matter what you did to me, she would side with you and I would get in trouble. It was terrible. But basically,
that was just her motherly protective nature.
Basically, it stemmed from the lack of emotional
support
as a child.
Lack
and
of
from,
role models.
Yeah.
Role models.
Because mom was...
We didn't really have any role models.
Yeah. So we kind of had to... We were our own, like, guidance. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, we were subjected to, like, you know, who
the
our
environment.
Friends were.
Yeah.
And basically, I have resting bitch face. I don't know if you know this, but I do. I think you know that I do. So
I don't think yours is not that bad. I've met some people.
Like, at all.
Yours is not bad. I've met a couple people, like, in passing,
but
where it's just like so bad. You just look at them and they're like, "What is wrong with them?" But then they'll be like, "Oh, hey."
Basically, I was just battling my own anger and depression. So I always had a scowl on my face. I'm always looking down. I'm always avoiding being social. So guess what?
Yeah.
The energy you give off is basically, that's your impression you're giving to the other people. If you don't look approachable, no one's going to approach you. So as a kid, I stuck to myself. I looked down at the ground. Basically, the stuff that comes with confidence issues. I didn't have eye contact with people. I basically, if someone said hi to me, I would, like, be like, ooh, and then run away. You know, so basically the lack of socialism in my life, low self-esteem, the lack of, like, mom's emotional support, and then to top it all off, I started gaining weight because of the depression from the abandonment I felt from dad.
Yeah, I don't even think you were really, like, crazy eating. Like, we would eat the same stuff pretty much.
It was basically
my weird.
Stress levels, I wasn't happy.
Your body just said, hold on to this. Yeah. Hold on to this fat.
You know, like, I was athletic as a kid. I loved playing sports. Like,
it was weird because we did pretty much eat the same stuff.
Exactly.
Like, I remember we used to, like, chop up some chicken and fry it and stuff, and, like...
Yeah, do you remember when mom and Michael worked at Chick-fil-A when it was in the Dover Mall, and we wanted to make cookies, and they had the Chick-fil-A seasoned flour in the thing, and we made some chocolate chip cookies, but they ended up tasting like chicken wings. I don't think if you remember.
Oh, we used that? Crazy. I don't remember.
We made some day because we used to watch Alton Brown on Food Network.
He's a classic.
But anyway, so yeah, it's like I just didn't understand it. I didn't grasp the concept of it as a kid. And because it's like you just have to like learn, you know, especially when you don't have the guidance or you don't have somebody to talk to. I didn't have anybody to talk to. I used to journal, and I used to write down all my shit. I used to, you know, at school, I would skip lunch and go to the library and sit there and write in my journal. Like, I completely avoided people.
What were you writing down?
My thoughts. I was one of those emo kids, song lyrics. You know, the surprising thing is that through all my, you know, teenage years, my angsty years, I was never suicidal. I always, because you know what the thought was? I was worried about what people would think of me after I died. That's how
Damn,
bad. That's how
that's
bad
crazy.
So basically, I was like, I would never kill myself because what if they saw my dead, lifeless, naked body?
But you'd be dead. That's so
Yeah, it's
crazy.
like, so basically,
That is so crazy. I
like, that's how
understand it,
bad-
but it's like,
you know what I
damn.
mean? That's how bad my fear of judgment was. I was like, what are they gonna think of me? Where, like, whatever. They're gonna find like my secret stash or something of like something crazy in the. I don't know. So
Damn.
it's just like, it was that bad, and now I know how to. It's part of that CPT, whatever, the
Cognitive
therapy.
behavioral therapy.
There are different types, but essentially, those thoughts are still there. I don't think I'll ever be able to get rid of those kinds of thoughts, but it's a matter of, can I catch it? Can I, you know, check it? And then can I, like, divert it to, like, a different thought? And all of that has to happen within, like, a split second of the thought. Because if I start dwelling on it, if I let the thought pass, it will dictate how I move forward.
Well, have you heard of ANTS? It's an acronym.
Ants. Like
It's an acronym, yeah, coined by Dr. Daniel Amen. Actually, let me show you. I have a book from him. So he wrote this book about happiness, and he's also a national New York Times best-selling psychologist, doctor. But he coined this term called automatic negative thoughts.
That's pretty much.
That's ants.
Right,
and all of us have it. All of us have it. But it's just about it's about being conscious to them. You know,
so that's where I'm at.
Exactly what you're saying, and all of that is pronounced the more stressed you are. So it's a direct correlation to your stress levels, your sleep levels, how much cortisol you have. So for example, if you're if you just got out of I don't know, a meeting or something, and you disagreed and it didn't go well, you're automatically gonna have, because your cortisol levels are raised, so you're automatically going to think you're more susceptible to these thoughts. And even negative behaviors as well. If you're stressed out, that's why we have stress eating, because when you're stressed out, your cortisol levels are high, and you're just fuck it, let me just fucking eat this goddamn donut.
Well, my issue is I catastrophize. I take it to the extreme. Basically...
if there's an atomic bomb.
No, I remember this was one of... I don't think I've ever talked to you about this, or you probably guessed it by then. On my birthday, if you didn't, make a conscious effort to try to come see me all those years, because we were best friends, I would basically be fine, he doesn't care about me. He hates me. I don't want to ever talk to you again. Basically, I would take a small scenario and blow it completely out of proportion, and nothing could change my mind about it. So, I used to always...
Except time.
Yeah, it's but then, when me and Michael, we went like 2 years without speaking to each other, and we lived in the same house. Like, and he would like walk by me, and he would talk to
Really?
Bob and say something about me. He'd be like, "Man, Mom, why you just let people just play their video game all day?" Remember he used to take our PlayStation?
Was that when I was in the Navy?
I don't remember, man. Sometimes, like, my freaking, I don't want to remember
What?
my childhood. No, but like, it's
Well,
just,
now I don't even want to bring it up, but
what?
well, I don't want to talk about our other siblings, but
Oh, yeah,
it's
I don't
kind
have
of like
nothing to say. Like, we all have
it's
our
just a
own piece of,
mindset.
like, mental health.
It's called like mental blocking, you know?
Oh,
Like
you're
you,
talking about Stacy.
yeah, like slowly over time, um,
You try to
trauma,
keep the, like, memories of
trauma
stuff.
and stuff. Yeah, you try to block it, but really that's just hurting you more because deep down
It
it's still
creates
there.
other issues, yeah.
It's
It
still there.
creates
It's
like
like
personality issues.
it's creating like a baseline. Like if you leave it there and you're just like, oh, the door's closed, but it's
That shit
still
comes
there.
out like little by
Yeah,
little.
you have to open the
Because there's
door.
still emotion attached
And
to it.
yeah, I feel like it's just like what like trauma is. Trauma, you never are fully healed
It's a
from
part of
trauma.
you.
It's
You
a
just have
part
to
of you
learn how to
that
acknowledge it or whatever.
you have to learn that your trauma doesn't define who you are like today.
Yeah, it's a part of your journey. I like thinking of like life as like this is just like the season that you're in. You know, like seasons change. Like this is just or like a chapter of a book. You know what I mean?
I like to
Like
see
it's
trauma as
just one like
scars.
timeline.
Trauma
I
is
have
like
plenty of bad scars.
scars. Like literally it could be like actually physical
Physical
scars or
or
just
it could be
mental
like
scars.
yeah.
But trauma is like a scar. Like you'll always have that
You
scar,
still you look at it and you I don't think it's
but you can't let it
healthy.
define you.
Yeah, I don't think it's healthy to deny things that happen. Like
Mhm.
you have to acknowledge it, and then you have to like I really am big on like forgiveness. And like I'm really
Me
big on
too.
like hey, like moving on. So it's like and I don't like the blame game. Like with trauma,
Me
I
either.
don't want to say I have, I go through depression, anxiety, whatever. I don't want to say, "Oh, mom causes. Dad causes." Like
Mhm.
no, like they had roles, but at the end of the day, that's not going to change that what I have. You know what I mean? So I just have to think, hey, I don't know their circumstance at the time. You know what I mean? Like I absolutely hate blaming people because then that just like creates like a negative like energy. It basically makes it like oh, this person's bad because they did this. And it's like you don't
Yeah.
know their circumstance, like you're not in their head. They might That's the biggest thing with me and mom is that I know like she has her quirks or whatever, her house or whatever. But I know that she has good intentions. I know she's
Yeah.
not like actively like let me, hurt my daughter's feelings. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes people are not self-aware to catch those things. And, some people are just super stubborn. They're not open-minded. I think I'm like one of the most open-minded people. Like I am willing to hear people out. I'm willing to see their side of the story. It's basically I'm empathetic with people. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
cuz I
Mom is
think
completely. She's just like, no, this is what I think, and
well, I
that's it.
think when it comes to like forgiveness, for example, cuz I had to forgive my brother Michael
Oh gosh,
for
that's terrible.
calling the CPS on me and almost getting my kids taken away. But I learned and I had to forgive through infidelity and cheating. And I think forgiveness, from what I've learned, is mainly it's for you. It's not for the other person. It's you don't forgive them to be like, oh, I forgive you. It's okay now. It's like, no, you forgive them because if you don't
You
forgive them,
let
you're
go of
holding
all.
a deep resentment that you have in yourself, which is not a positive trait. It's not a positive energy to hold on to resentment. So you forgive somebody to let go of that resentment, to feel, to just let it go, to not hold on to that negative energy, because resentment to me is negative energy, and I don't want to hold on to negative energy.
Like, if you resent somebody, it could be years later, and you just like you won't even
And then you forget.
why.
Yeah, it's like,
but then that energy is still there. You're instantly.
but you've been holding on to, you've been holding on to that, and then that's when people get triggered and things like that. All of that stems from holding on to something. Like, people get triggered because they hold on to something from the past that they haven't let go or forgiven or whatever it is.
Yeah, and it's like, in my head, you don't need to even tell the person that you forgive them, because I feel like if you don't say it, then you're trying to make a point. You're trying to like, oh, like I'm forgiving you.
Like, hey, I forgave you.
If you want to do something, you don't have to you don't need validation. Most of the times when you tell somebody something, you want a response. You want to like, oh, I forgave you. Oh, now like you should like be like praising me for it. You know what I mean? It's like, no, if you genuinely want someone to do something, you don't need anybody to tell you, oh, like, good job, great for doing that. It's like, no, it's for yourself. And like, that's the biggest
thing. But just to be clear though, kids do need that, but as adults we don't need that.
Well, because we know better. That's why a lot of the stuff, like, you know, I love mom, whatever, but she had her own journey, and you know, she has walls up. You know, mom has like the biggest walls up. She's been hurt so much. So I cannot sit there and say, I wouldn't even say she wasn't a bad mom, like, whatsoever. Like, I wouldn't even say that. I love my mom. It's just like she was focused on other things, and we were in the crossfire. You know what I mean? So that's just part of
I think all we have to do is just,
I'm just grateful
because we're all adults now. All we can do is be grateful.
Like, she put a roof over our heads. You know what I mean?
We weren't homeless.
We had clothes. So, like, the things that we need to focus on what she did do and not what we were lacking.
Exactly.
But I can acknowledge the things that we were lacking or that she didn't do. But I'm not upset at her. I'm not blaming her. I'm just saying, hey, can you acknowledge it so that we can discuss it, so that we can have a healthy dialogue about it. That's the biggest thing. Is like, I really want to like be able to talk to people about stuff without making it hostile. But most people that are in denial, they don't like.
I think that goes back to what we were saying earlier about like when Dad visited. You can't kind of force somebody to want to do that.
You can't play like a victim, you know? Like, I hate people that are just like, oh, like, I'm a victim of circumstance, or someone, you know, specifically picked me out to victimize me. It's like, no, most people, that is not their intention, to like harm other people. It just happens because of like whatever journey they're on, whatever mental state they're in. Like, there's just like, what is it called? Like, that like damage where it's like you do something but it's like splash damage or something. I don't know what it's called.
Damage
or
control.
Like, no. You know, like in Pokemon, if you had like a fighting Pokemon and it's like a powerful move, but then you get hit back with it a little bit. You know what I'm talking about?
Recoil.
Like, it hurts yourself. Yeah.
It's like recoil or like struggle or
like,
whatever.
That shit happens. Like, I don't know, but you know what I do every morning? Because it's still morning and I'm like weird. So I have these posters in my room, and I have. Can you read it? I got the special on my wall.
From Fallout.
Kids. Yeah, I tell myself and my kids that we're special, and we have our own attributes, and not everybody's the same. But you make your own happiness, and you can be whatever you want to be. Like, I didn't like see like I didn't want to feel like I was rambling this whole time because that's part of my what is it called? My diagnosis with like my mental health shit is like I over I over talk to like
Because that's in
compensate
your
for,
head.
yeah,
Because
it's
you
like
overthink. You overthink, so when you have the space to talk,
I just start
you
rambling and I
overtalk.
don't even know where I'm going.
Because
Um,
that's a direct reflection of your
my
like
mind, like it's
mental, because your mental,
yeah,
you're constantly overthinking.
which is
So when
why
you actually
trying to
have
get
the space
sleep,
to
like
talk,
it just keeps going on. So which is why I was like, I don't know if me being the first
no,
guest on this podcast is like the greatest
it's
thing.
all right. I was gonna lead to like the final questions anyways,
Okay,
but
maybe
um,
happy stuff, hopeful
well,
stuff.
I did want to go over like, because you did explain everything and how it shaped you, but I do want to go over each one. So what is, firstly, what is your definition of purpose, and then
Okay.
passion, and then peace, like one by one.
Purpose, passion, and peace. Okay. So, purpose, I would say, um, everybody's purpose is different in life, but your purpose shouldn't matter to the next person. It's within yourself. It's how you feel about yourself. It's how you know, where you want to put yourself in, like, as a person in society. So somebody, you know, my purpose will be completely different from yours. Like, you shouldn't have to, like, express your purpose for validation. You know what I mean? Like, you don't go around and, like, you know, brag about
Like,
your
this is my
purpose.
purpose, come look
Yeah,
at
it's like,
me.
oh, I'm in life for this. Like, just do it for you. And that leads
Mm-hmm.
into your passion. Like, if you're passionate about it, if passion and purpose go hand in hand, it's like, well, you're passionate about it, it like helps you like live your purpose. So it's like your reason for, you know, why you're going through life, why you're going through the struggle, the ups and downs, the, you know, the good and the bad. Like, life is like, there's always something to balance it out. It wouldn't make sense, because how can you have something that's good without something that's bad to compare it to, you know? So it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
when you have that like purpose and passion, it's like it makes you a better person overall. So if you focus on yourself and you're a good person, every single role in your life will follow suit. So if you are innately a good person, you'll be a good brother, a good father, a good like whatever. Like, all your roles in life will like reflect that, your inner,
Mm-hmm.
you know, purpose and your inner passion. And then peace. I've been the most peaceful I've been ever, in more recent years. Like, even though my life is chaotic, um, you know, I had stuff going on in my personal life. Um, you know, I work 2 jobs now. I have 2 kids under 2. Freaking them COVID babies are built different. Like, legit. Like, they're a reason for my stress, but that's not something that, like I said, I don't play blame games. So my kids, I would never, never, never tell them that they're the reason why I'm stressed out, even though they are a big factor. Um, so it's like, I'm at peace because I tell myself I'm choosing to find peace in a world of chaos around me. Like, that's the biggest thing, is like, you have to adjust your perspective of how you see things. If you let that overwhelm you and you know, succumb to the like stress and like all those negative feelings, you will never find peace. But you have to
Yeah.
know that you're in control. Like, you're in control of that, like, finding peace. So in my head, my life is perfect right now. It's, you know, I'm just navigating it. I'm appreciating the ups and the downs, because you wouldn't have those good days without the bad days. You can't
Yeah.
just live life like
It's
in the
like yin
middle.
and yang.
Yeah, it's like there's a
Yeah.
balance to like everything. So it's like those moments of when, days are good and I'm not stressed and, whatever, they feel so much better because I know that I've grown from, or I've faced that adversity. So like when you finally things start lining up, it just feels so much better. And, it's, I don't know. I just try to live life one day at a time and do my whole, what is it called? Like that whole automatic thoughts thing and process better. And I have my bad days.
Just be actively self-aware and conscious.
Yeah. And, I don't know. I'm working on myself constantly. So that's where I'm at peace. It's like I accept every part of my life, good, bad, whatever, because I understand it and I find the good in the bad. It's like I will appreciate what I do have versus focusing on what you're lacking, because then that just keeps your mindset, like dug in the ground. It's like negative. It's like, oh, if something bad's happening, you're focusing on, oh, why is my life crappy? Why? It's like, no, just be like, there is something good about it.
Yeah, it's the law of attraction. It's just like basically the law of attraction is just, it's not really karma. It's like karmic energy, but it's like,
yeah, it's like
you attract what you think. So if it's like, if you think abundantly and gratefully, you will attract that.
Some kind of like magic.
It's not no
spell.
magic. No, it's just
like, I don't want to get into like Michael too much, but he kind of like, he found his purpose in that mindset. You know what I mean? That feels like Michael's like identity now. Is that like everything is energy. Everything is, I believe in that. Like I follow that, but I don't let it dictate me, or I don't just like say, the world's gonna settle itself out. Literally, that's
it's like
oh, my castle's gonna come out of nowhere. Like,
it's basically like people who are like deep into like astrology and like zodiacs.
They like blindly.
It's like, oh, my zodiac says. I mean, I'm not hating against people who believe in zodiac, but, but it's like
there's a little bit too much.
You shouldn't let it like. You shouldn't blindly follow it. You should use it as a guide. Like, okay. Okay. Like just a different perspective. Not like this is my perspective.
It's just like I don't know, like it's not a rule book. It's not set in stone.
Yeah.
It's like a general.
I think zodiacs and all the astrologies and stuff should be seen as like a perspective. Like, oh, okay, this is an interesting perspective for who I could be based off of energies and stars.
No, because it's funny because every time I be talking to Michael, he'd be like, look, it's 11:11. Look at these numbers.
I get and those texts too.
Do you know?
Because you wait until it's 11:11.
Exactly. I don't
you
think
like
he
wait.
Does it that extreme. But you know how like when you want a certain car and then that's the only car that you notice on the road.
Yeah, it's like, your reticular. So it's your reticular activating system.
That's literally Michael with these like numbers.
Yeah, it's the RAS.
It's like
whatever you focus on. It's it's whatever you're focusing on. You're focusing on the 11:11. So every time it hits 11 o'clock, you're like, oh, let me look at the clock. Like
you have like a 1 in 60 chance that it's going to be 11:11.
Yeah. So these are my final questions. You can just, you don't have to like go deep into them. You can if you want. But yeah, are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the first question is, what is your biggest regret in life so far?
That's a tough question. Because I I don't really regret things. Like, basically, I take them as they come. You know, if I make a bad decision, it's whatever. I learn from it. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't, because when you think of regret, you think of like, oh, I wish this wouldn't have happened. You know what I mean? But in my head, I accept everything that happens. So I really don't have any like true regrets. So that's like, it's actually really hard for me to answer that, but I would say, I regret not, pursuing, like, the traditional, like, college, like, right out of high school, because I actually had, everybody says this in our family, where they, like, try to say that basically, out of us 4 kids, I'm the only one that doesn't have a complete college degree. Like, I pretty much, like, I didn't apply to any schools in high school. I just went to, like, a community college, and I flunked out of it. But I regret not pushing myself to my full potential and going to a traditional college, because everyone in the family is like, hey, I'm the smart one. I'm the more intellectual one. I'm, like, the more logical one, whatever. And I agree with that to a certain extent. I was a bookworm. I was straight A student. I did all the AP classes in high school. Like, I could have, I feel like it's wasted potential. Even though today my mindset is like, a college degree does not define you. Like, there can be people that have a college degree and they partied the entire 4 years, but they have that piece of paper that says that they are, you know, an expert or whatever in whatever field. But, or there can be me, who I self-teach myself. If I'm passionate about something, I will deep dive into it. I will learn. I will be hands-on. I will teach myself. So honestly, I do kind of regret that, for like, the one reason is like, I wasted my potential. But at the same time, I'm thinking about, like, would I have been happy? I would have forced myself to be away, because me being in my social anxiety thing.
Yeah.
If I would have applied to college, got accepted, moved out on a dorm by myself, I probably would have been a million times more miserable, because I was going to be so uncomfortable and have no one else to rely on. And I would have been in that, like, sink or swim type of, like, mentality. You know what I mean? I probably would have spiraled at worse, or I would have had to force myself to change. So at the same time, it's like, I'm happy where I am, because if I would have done that traditional, went to college, got a degree, became a doctor, became a whatever, I probably wouldn't have met my husband. I probably wouldn't have my 2 kids right now. Like, you know, so I don't try to dwell on that. But if I had to pick something I regret, that would probably be it. Because it
Pursuing
just
your
like
academic potential.
Yeah, it just feels like it was wasted potential, because I'm confident enough to know that, yes, I do have, like, I have a lot of smarts and intellect behind me. Do I use it all the time? No. As soon as I graduated high school, guess what I did with all that calculus and all that shit? I mind dumped it. Never used it ever again. It's like, why do I need to know about the Holocaust?
I mean, that's kind
I
of
don't
the
need to know
issue
about
with the school system today,
It's more,
to be honest.
yeah, it's like you're just memorizing facts.
Yeah, like, my ideal school, like, if I don't want to, like, get into politics, but my ideal school system would be children who you give them options to explore from at a young age,
You develop
and
your creativity and your
whatever
intuition.
option that they lean more towards, like, there should be like a option pool when they're younger. And whatever one that they just naturally gravitate towards, they should master that for all of school. And so by the time that they're like, let's say,
in that,
like, instead of waiting to college to become an expert at film or business or doctor, imagine if you found a doctor in a kid that was interested in, like, just find a way to create
Yeah,
an
because
interest in medicine, and then literally from first grade all the way to 12th grade, that's
they
all they're
practice
learning.
medicine. But
So
then
they
you
have
also
12
fill it
years.
with the other shit that's like
Other
basic
like
needs of
basic
life.
foundational
hmm Well, that's why.
English, math,
Remember
whatever.
last week when I texted, I was telling you about signing my kids up for like a martial arts. So I wanted to do that to get them like a foundation to like they're gonna do it basically throughout their whole childhood. But then on top of that, I'm going to introduce them to like, hey, do you want to try like basketball? Do you want to try football? Do you want
Yeah.
to try music? So I'm going to see what they naturally like are gifted at, and I'm going to coddle that, and I'm going to encourage them to like, hey, like, and you know, kids are very fickle because like Jalen, for example, our niece, she is really good at softball, like completely. You don't know how many times as a kid I've been watching her do softball for years, where she's like, I don't want to do this anymore. You know, I don't have time for my friends. I don't. But then like we have to encourage her to like push through that because we see her natural talent and she can go far with it. So you kind of have to like encourage your kid.
Yeah,
to,
but
like,
then also they have to find out if she doesn't, if she isn't naturally like in love with
well,
it,
because there's just it's
you can't really
situational.
force it, because
There's like
that reminded me of Kobe Bryant. And like if
he
you
forced
listen to
his
Kobe
daughter to like
Bryant's,
play basketball
no, about
about himself.
himself, about himself, and like how I think his dad or something got him into basketball, but then he
Oh
wasn't
no, I'm
forced
not
upon it.
gonna
He
like
like
be
fell in
forced.
love with it, and then like became obsessed with being the best. So that's how he like became the best, because he literally put thousands of hours of, like, he would literally like say like, yeah, like after we had like basketball practice at school, everybody would go home and I would stay there for another like 5 hours, fucking crack of dawn, throwing basketball, like just practicing my dribbling all by himself.
Yeah.
He did that for years.
Well, that's the thing. You don't want to introduce like too high of an expectation on a child. You have to
Yeah,
interpret
yeah.
it to their.
You can't. That's why you can't force them.
Yeah,
Like,
that's like with my kids. It's like I'm going to encourage them, and I'm going to nudge them in the right direction, give them guidance. But if they decide absolutely not, I don't want to do this anymore, then I'll say, hey, what's the next thing
yeah,
you're interested in?
you
What
gotta
would you like
explore.
to do?
Yeah,
But if
yeah,
you basically just have to like, if you can see that your child is like naturally like gifted in one area, that's where my whole regretting the not going to college thing was, because the family, like mom knew that I was, you know, like intellectually gifted or whatever. Like since I was in like the smart classes since like elementary school, straight A's every single year. But mom never encouraged me to want to like pursue that or push it. Like I wasn't ever part of like, you know, the after school activities with like where you're focusing on that. She never said, oh, make sure you know you're putting in college applications, blah blah blah, blah. She kind of left me to fend for myself. And even though I knew I wanted to do college and I wanted to go to college and I didn't want to waste my potential, I decided not to because of my social anxiety, and I started catastrophizing that I wouldn't be able to make it. So
yeah.
if I would have had
You're
mom to like back me up and say, "Hey, I'm here to support you," you know, at least give it a shot.
yeah,
I would have at least, you know, gave it a shot.
yeah.
But
Because sometimes that's all we need.
it's a
That's
little
literally
encouragement, a
sometimes,
little guidance,
yeah. Just like an
you know.
extra push. That's all we need.
Because if you rely on yourself, sometimes you catch yourself on a bad day, and that could make you make like a really a bad decision that
That's me like
you regret.
50% of the time.
Man, you lack commitment. You be coming up with a million ideas and then never like 100% follow through. It's not that you're giving up. It's more like you've already moved on to the next idea before you completed the one before. You
Yeah,
know
and
what I
that's
mean?
gonna
And you want to
change
like
with this
backtrack or
podcast.
whatever.
So this is the second podcast of 1,000 plus.
Of 1,000.
So
And hopefully Because I don't know if you know this, but this is a big step for me. I've been putting it off because of my like
Really?
catastrophizing.
That's why
I've
y'all been
literally
flaking.
I'm like nervous. I'm like, what the hell is he trying to ask me? Like, I don't want to be too deep on it. Like, it kind of is because my life is like my upbringing
It's
is
alright.
deep. But like I said, it's like then I'm worried about, am I rambling? Am I like
Well,
whatever?
let's finish these final questions.
Then you have one
So,
bullet point.
what is or what has made the biggest impact in your life so far that makes you who you are? What or who or what
So
has made the biggest impact?
there's two things, and I already pretty much explained that whole hospital thing. That was like kind of like a you know, that moment of like, hey, realizing that like life is short, life is precious. You got to just live it and enjoy it for what it is. So that was one of my biggest like, you know, things that kind of like, you know, shaped like who I am today. As far as a person, it's like meeting Chris was like the biggest change in my life. Like, I just have become like so much more like, I don't know. I've been different. I've been motivated to like push myself, be uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Like actually, for example, I've been putting off doing this podcast with you because of like my just like insecurities and my worries. Chris is the one every day. He's been like, you better do that podcast with your brother.
Really?
When you like,
Really?
you
He's
haven't.
been saying that to you?
Yes, he is my biggest like cheerleader. Like, I swear, he accepts me for who I am, and he allows me to like revert into like my like, you know, withdrawal and like not being social. He allows me to do that, but he will also nudge me little by little to like
I
push
think
those
Chris is
boundaries.
good at balancing you. Like he like allows you to like get into your emotions, but then also like kind of helps guide you.
Helps, yeah. So
Yeah, and
essentially,
calm
like,
you
if I
down.
would have never met him, I don't think I would have like, but like in my like mid-20s or even just growing up, I always thought, I will never be married. I will never have kids. I will be single the rest of my life. And I met Chris, and he made all of those like, you know, negative doubts and like things that I was like grounding myself with. He changed them. We have 2 kids. I'm married. We've been married for 5 years. Been together for 8 years. So there's just so many like boundaries that I've pushed with him by my side. And he just completely keeps me like grounded. We're not a perfect, you know, husband and wife at all.
Nobody's
We have our
perfect.
issues. But he keeps me like, he just keeps me like motivated. Like, I have, you know, a reason to like keep going, because the past 2 years has been crazy for us. Like, you know, the backstory. I'm not going to get into any of that, but it's like, you know, taking care of these kids, he allows me to, you know, take care of myself mentally, so that I can be the best person that I can be, which will help me become a better mom, a better, you know, wife, a better
Yeah.
family member. So I would say, yeah, definitely those are the 2 biggest things that are like, or at least like in my present, you know, who I am now, who I like
Yeah.
contribute to.
No, yeah, that's good. All right. So what has been one lesson that you learned the hard way?
Let me see. Lesson I've learned the hard way. So it's kind of getting into the other family. So I'm not gonna. I'll say it, but I'm not gonna like get deep into it. So currently, I am a people pleaser. That's like, it comes with my mental health stuff, like my
Yeah.
fear of judgment. So I give in to people. I'm very helpful. I'm giving. I want people to have the best impression of me possible. So I am very reluctant to say no to people. So essentially, my relationship with Stacy had gotten to a point where she completely was taking advantage of me for years and years and years. Whether it be helping her with Jalen for like, I literally was watching her kid like 24/7 with no compensation. Like, I would drop everything to help her, and essentially it got to a point where she had expectations of me dropping everything and helping her. And not even just with like Jay, but like even just like, oh,
small things.
I'll call you up at any moment just to talk your ear off because I have nobody else to, because I would intently listen. I would genuinely listen and give her advice, and kind of, I was there for her in that sense, and she got so used to it. But then I realized, all of those years, it built up, like, it was wearing me down. It was draining me mentally, physically, everything. And so essentially, I was just like miserable. I was allowing Stacy's problems and her choices in life and everything happening to her. I was too invested in it. I wanted the best for her. I wanted her to, respect me, and so I did everything. I did anything I could to like keep that relationship. Like, I just had it in my head. It's like, I want to have a good relationship with my sister at all costs. And the cost was my own mental health, my own sanity, my own, So eventually, we've had so many falling outs, and it's like, that's not how I want to live my life. I don't want to live my life with a shit list of like, I'm not talking to this person, I'm not talking to this person, like, you know what I mean? So it had to, basically, I had to like cut myself off from her. And basically, cold turkey, I just stopped taking her calls, stopped seeing her, stopped, interacting with her. And, she has her own, struggles to deal with, but I basically, it hurt to do that because I would hear about her issues and stuff through the grapevine, through Mom, through Michael, whatever. It would hurt, but at the end of the day, I focused on myself, and I'm a better person now. And now my relationship with her is very at a distance, but at least there's no anger, there's no resentment, I'm happy, she's happy. I'm happy to hear that she's doing well, but I'm not as invested, and it's not damaging me to a point anymore. So we can just civilly talk, and it just be like, I can't talk deep with her anymore, but that's okay. I can have a surface level relationship with her.
It's hard for all of us to talk deep with her,
because ideally, I would like to be able to talk to all my siblings, because I love all of you guys equally. I would love to be able to like talk deep with all of you guys, but I'm accepting that with Stacy, it is going to be a surface level relationship.
It's just a boundary,
Yeah, it's basically like I'm creating the boundary and I'm enforcing it. I'm not allowing her to cross it, because if I give her control, that's going to like make my mental health spiral again.
So your biggest lesson is figuring out the power of saying no, basically, because there's lots of power in saying no. Imagine if you said no.
She had the control.
Imagine all those years. Imagine all those years if you would have just said no.
Yeah,
that's how powerful it is.
Literally, I felt bad, but I probably would have been in my own mental health would have been like way more better if I would have said no. But that's the thing. It's like, I feel bad for saying no, but if I say yes and it's something I don't really want to do, I'm miserable then too. So it's like, what's the lesser of the two?
Just say no. And set that boundary.
That's where I'm at. Actually, I'm heading to Florida next week. We're gonna go to the Universal. They got a Last of Us thing and a Stranger Things and all that. It's gonna be fun. We're going out. We're gonna see her house for the first time because she moved out there in June. No, it's all good. whatever is her relationship or her issues, it's with her. So
Yeah.
I'm not, but I feel like it's going to be a test because I haven't talked to her. I haven't told her this is my strategy. You know what I mean? So she might come at me when she's physically, because we haven't physically been, with each other since June. It was the ease of access, basically. So now that there's that, 10 hours away difference, 10-hour drive away difference, it's like she's not as easily accessible. So once I'm there in Florida, she might try to start pushing. You know what I mean? Like try to talk to me or try to. What is that, like a baggage dump or dump your emotions, or I don't know what it's called. You know
Venting.
what I mean? It's venting, but it's basically like you're
worse.
dumping it all at once on one person. Emotional baggage.
Like you probably should talk to a therapist.
Yeah, so I love our sister. I have, her daughter really looks up to me, I would say. So I'm excited to go see them, but I'm putting my foot down as far as like I don't want to hear about your shitty marriage or whatever's going on, or that's you deal with it. That's where I'm at. I'm putting my foot down, and that's like what I've learned. Like I know how to say no. That doesn't mean I don't care, but
no, yeah, I know what you mean. All right, this last question is, I'm still working on a few like questions to be like my final one, but this last one is kind of just like a easygoing one. It's not too deep.
Finally.
Oh.
I don't like this.
What? This is what the podcast is about. So what is one thing that you want to do but just have never had the chance to do it? It could be anything.
Anything?
Yeah, just something you've always wanted to do, or you like want to do in the future, but you just haven't had the chance to do it, but you really want to do it one day. Kind of like a bucket list.
Well, it's not anything crazy, but I really want to put the effort into learning an instrument and like completely like. I was thinking whether it be drums or piano or something, but I want to like fully be able to dedicate and like come up with like something that sounds good. Because like I've always had an interest in music, but I feel like I always like shut myself down. Like you don't know how many freaking random instruments I bought like over the years.
Really?
And I remember like you started on that one guitar that I bought that I just like I gave up so quickly. You have natural ability with like everything. Like you start skateboarding, you're pretty good at it. You start playing guitar, you're good at it. Like just I always like I don't know, I don't think I'm creative. That's my issue, is like, so I want to work on my
everybody's creative. I think everybody's has creativity in them. It's a matter of finding an outlet. Yeah, finding an outlet or something that triggers that.
Then like, but I just know that I want to push myself like musically, because that's like one of my biggest passions. Of like 32 years old, I still be going to damn concerts. Yo, I got
so go to Ragers.
Man, I got crowd smushed on that Dance Gavin Dance festival. I couldn't breathe. I had like armpits in my mouth. Like that shit. We gotta go to something, man. We gotta go to that Bill Murray or something.
Yeah, they've been my favorite.
They've been Bill Murray shirt. It's a Buc-ee's.
They've been my. Oh wow, they have a Buc-ee's Bill Murray shirt. What the hell? Are they from Texas?
You know that shit. No, it's just a meme. That's why.
Oh, yeah, they've been one of my favorite.
Yeah.
Recent, so favorite hardcore.
Well, I listen to everything, but I still stick to my stuff from
the roots.
Yeah. That Dance Gavin Dance, man.
So you just want to learn an instrument? That's your last.
Yeah. But I want to be like, not just learn it. I want to
master it. Yeah.
So.
And that's like the mindset to have, I think, honestly. Like that's the biggest mindset shift I've had recently, because like you said, like I like to try a bunch of things, but recently I came to that conclusion, like
you want to like stick and commit and
yeah, like it's better to focus on one thing, maybe two things,
and be a
and just
master
master at those, and then once you're a master, then you could try something new.
And that's the same thing, same mindset I have with like friends. It's like I would rather have one or two really good friends than a million different like.
Oh yeah, it's just quality over quantity.
Yeah, so that's essentially that's where that is, but yeah.
Well, that's the conclusion to our podcast. Where can people find you? Where do you want to be found? Anything you want to promote or go ahead and like what's your plan for the future?
I'm in grind mode right now. I got 2 jobs. I'm focusing on my family. I got my babies. I want to strengthen my marriage, my family. That's my biggest goal. Is like I just want to be happy, do things with the kids, travel the world. Like I want to, go to Florida next week. I want to go out to Austin soon, or you come out here for Christmas. But, yeah, I just want to travel more as a family. Like, you know how there are like some parents where they're like they can't wait to like go on a vacation without the kids. I would like bring my kids with me. Like I want to create experiences, like lifelong memories. I kind of want to filter out like the whole social media thing. Like I want to live in the moment. Like if I go to a concert, I kind of want to just like enjoy it. I don't want to have my phone out. Like so I just want to build and broaden my experiences and my memories, because I will be able to hold those. I mean, unless I get Alzheimer's or some shit like lower. So that's where I'm at.
I mean, experiences are memories.
Yeah,
if you really
like
think about it,
take those away from you. Like, so I still, I'll take one picture or something just to have like. I still want to be present.
Yeah,
on
capture.
Social media,
Yeah, capture it.
But I don't want that to be like the reason I live or the reason I do things. Some people literally they do something only for the virality of it or like the social.
Well, that's
media
kind of like since I started YouTube. Well, since I started YouTube and stuff, that's kind of the mindset. Because you have to somewhat plan. You have to somewhat plan. You can't, like, especially if you're a creator, you have to kind of plan.
But
and you can't.
You have to stay true to you. You have to do things that you're passionate about. If you're just following something for views and it's not you.
Oh, yeah.
So
authenticity,
it's a delicate balance. Yeah, so keep creating content, that you love, that you would want to watch, that you're passionate about. And eventually, like you said, like you always talk about Mr. Beast. It's like he started out with 100 views now.
Oh, he recently showed his, he recently tweeted a couple weeks ago his growth from when he first started. It looks like exponential growth. It literally was year one.
Quadrupling.
Yeah, it was year one, age 12, 10 subscribers. Year 2, age 13, 20 subscribers. Year 3, 40 subscribers. And then it literally took him 5 years just to get to a couple thousand. Yeah, but then it literally exponentially his growth was literally exponential from literally if you just times 2 until today, it's literally
so just
to almost 200 million.
Just keep chugging along. I'm behind you with all your endeavors. I'm not going to tell you can't do anything, because honestly you can. You're so driven with whatever ideas you have, and that's one of your best qualities. It's you don't give up. You're facing adversity right now with your real estate thing, with your finances, with your relationships, and you're still happy, you're still motivated, you're still doing it. So I feel like you just have to find that, like, that one moment that will, like, push you, you know, in the eyes of other people. Because there's so much content out there right now.
Yeah. It's an attention world today.
Yeah, so you just
Attention
gotta,
economy.
Even if you grab somebody's attention tomorrow, you have to fight to hold on to their attention.
Yep.
Because of how the world
We have short
is just,
attention
like,
spans now.
It's just moving so fast. So I'm with you on that. I support you through your journey. You know, I don't know if anybody's going to learn anything from what I've said on this podcast. It's kind of, I'm just talking to you naturally. At first, like, I can tell the first couple minutes, I was more like trying to talk to an audience, but I feel like it's way more natural to just talk to you as you, like, audience aside. So I'm a little more comfortable. If you want to have me as a guest again, that's perfectly fine. We can talk about something lighthearted, even though this is a growth podcast and all of that. But
Oh, okay. This is the final thing, and then we're gonna, close out, because we're almost hitting 2 hours, which is like
what?
the max. I don't want to go more than 2 hours. But, is there any insights you've gained throughout your life in the process of finding meaning or peace, that, like, one or two things that you think would resonate with somebody listening right now?
Honestly, the biggest take from all of this in my life experience is don't care about what other people think or say about you. The only thing that matters is what you think and feel about yourself. If you work on yourself and you believe you're a good person, it will translate to all your other roles in life. That's like my biggest philosophy is, like, if you are a good person at your core, you will be a good mom, you will be a good brother, you'll be a good whatever. Like, all your other roles will follow suit. So just worry about, like, you, like, what you think of yourself. That is the biggest factor. Because all of my darkest times in my life was when I didn't think highly of myself. And now that I have that confidence and I tell myself, I know that, you know, I'm a good person, I'm strong, I'm a good mom, I'm a good whatever. Now I'm confident. I feel, you know, I feel good about myself. And that's the biggest thing. If someone tries to tell you otherwise, guess what? It doesn't matter. Just care about you, how you feel about yourself. That's it.
And with that, guys, thank you for listening to episode number 2 with Sarah Malpass. And
Follow my socials.
As always, follow, subscribe, share your key takeaways, and we'll see you in the next one.